Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye, of course. That was the smash hit back in 1971 when Marvin wrote and released that album, November of 71. The following year, the album of the same name. This was Marvin's first shot at producing an album, and he did a marvelous job, highly acclaimed album, charts everywhere. Him and of course, this was out of the somewhat of the Motown stable. It wasn't produced by Motown. It was actually produced by, like I said, Marvin Gaye, and his good friend Ed Townsend actually produced this. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Jeff Jarvinen, your host for, well, this is actually episode 3. We have already done 2 episodes pre-COVID, and we're on 3 right now. We're heading off to episode 4 later this week. You're not going to remember my last name. In fact, I've got the only 2 people on the planet who will even give a crap is my 2 cousins in Finland, Olli and Antti Jarvinen. And of course, over there, Jarvinen, pronounced Jarvinen, is common. Over here, not so common, but call me Jeff, call me JJ, call me Jarv, just don't call me late to dinner. Hey, yada yada, old one. Anyways, welcome. Now, Boom Juice. What is Boom Juice? Well, Boom Juice is really nothing more than Boomer Entertainment News. And I'm going to get around to my my co-host here in a second, Armin Blackwater. But we know there's a lot to talk about. And it can be locally, it can be regionally, nationally, internationally. And now that we're at this point in time, everything is immediately accessible to us all around the globe. So we thought we'd give it a shot. We hope you like it. In the beginning, a few years ago, pre-COVID, a good friend of mine, good friend and colleague, Armin Blackwater, a noted musician around here, actually around the country, we got together and did a lot of confabbing at his home studio about rock and roll and the business and people in the business and shows and presentations and how artists present themselves, yada yada. At any rate, we decided one day that why don't we do a podcast? And at that point, podcasts were the latest and greatest things. So we said, let's try it, give it a try. And we did our due diligence. We did our homework. We put things in place. We had great segments. And the first 2 episodes, if you've seen them, we think they were good. They were not perfect, but we knew we were going to get better as we went along, much as we're doing right now. And also, Armin was my co-host, and his lovely bride, Lila, was one of our associate producers. And it went well. It was really good. Once again, COVID happened, and then Armin moved to Atlantic Beach, Florida, to get out of the sub-zero cold we experience here in town. Now, let me segue back into now who we are. Everybody has a hometown. We're back on the block kids. You got to live somewhere. So I'll tell you where we are. We are actually shooting in Duluth, Minnesota, and Superior, Wisconsin, for the most part. It's kind of our home base. But we have a region that encompasses northern Wisconsin and kind of mid-state Minnesota up to the Canadian border. And that's what we call our region. And also, we deal with state entertainers, because there's many, many great entertainers that came out of the state of Minnesota. And you're going to see a little segment that I put together just showcasing some of the great artists that came out of Minnesota. What you will see and what you won't see, well, I'll tell you what you won't see. You won't see somebody sitting in front of a cheap desk with a boom mic and a a very expensive microphone that means absolutely nothing, taking up 1/3 of the screen. I don't know where that came from. I suppose they thought it was cool that we could afford a nice mic and a cheap stand. Blah blah blah. You're not going to see that here. We're not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk about religion. I mean, everybody gets to make up their own mind. It's still America, and we're keeping it that way. Now, the business, as I had alluded to, the business is huge. There's so much involved, and we think we can expose you to really a lot of it, even on the local level. And we hope at times to have regional guests and national guest artists come on and do a little segment with us for Boom Juice. And that will happen in future episodes. And like I said, the history, I go back to Armand and I starting this, and we are going to do our best to carry it on. In fact, Armand might send me a little video shout out here, so we'll see if that shows up. Now, I alluded to what we're going to say. Well, what we have is we already have some segments already produced for Boom Juice. In every Boom Juice episode, you're going to see these. One of the segments is called Boom Juice Wisdom. And you'll know it when you see it. We have another segment called Boom Juice Artist Confessions, and you're going to see one of those in this episode. And what we do with Boom Juice Artist Confessions, as we call it, we catch artists at gag and take them out, and those who are willing to come out and be on camera, and we ask them the same question. The same question is, what prompts you to want to be an entertainer? And we tell them you can say it however you want to say it. And it's really quite interesting to get that perspective. And as most of you know, and all artists know, it's not about the money. It really isn't about the money. Guys in the bands playing at the corner bar make diddly. So be it. It's probably always been that way. So Boom Juice Wisdom, here's a little clip from Boom Juice Wisdom. Boom Juice Wisdom, you're going to see one every episode, and I think we just think they're just fun, and it says a lot. Johnny J. Huta, Finnish guy, much as myself, born in Duluth, raised in Superior, and he's like the hidden artist. Just not that many people know about Johnny, but I'll tell you what accolades we can say about Johnny right off the top. Johnny was a singer-songwriter, of course. Johnny, we refer to him as the Northland's godfather of rock and roll with his 1957 Mercury Records release of Sugar Doll, and it went up on the charts a bit. It was actually a minor hit for Johnny. Johnny is a member of the National Rockabilly Hall of Fame. Johnny is a inductee into the Minnesota Music Hall of Fame, and our first inaugural inductee into the Northland Legends Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that comes out of hometown here, our area. And we were real pleased to have him. And I'll tell you a little sad story about that is, it was a few years back now. Johnny's been gone a while, and I called him up to do an interview with him, a video interview, and Johnny's very accommodating. Well, at that point he had told me that he had lung cancer, and his time was short. And So what could I say? Well, at that point, I put together the Northland Legends Hall of Fame certificate and all that, and matted it and framed it and sent it to Johnny. And Johnny got it on his deathbed, and his wife said he was quite pleased and quite happy. And I guess that's all we really want out of it. We wanted him to know he was recognized. Johnny, 645s over the course of the years. He did 3 albums, A Well-Traveled Road, Back in the Game, and a gospel album named His Love. Fabulous. They're all just fabulous. And one of the greatest, I just have to say this, one of the greatest traditional country artists from anywhere. And I'm not going to take away from the Cashes and the Hank Snow and Hank Williams and the boys and the girls, and I'm not going to. I'm just going to add it, Johnny J's name to that, and we'll talk about the album in just a little bit. But anyways, Johnny also played for a show I produced called Country Opera Show. This is back in 2010 in South Range, Wisconsin. I won't go into details where that is. But at any rate, Johnny headlined the show. He did a fabulous job. And we have just a little snippet of that show and a song that you're probably going to remember from Johnny J. And here it is.
You might remember, this is called Buck 280. It goes like this.
Buck 280, Johnny J on his Well-Traveled Road album. You have to love it. Great song. Got radio play around this region quite a bit and on the charts here locally. So what can you say? It's every musician's dream to do that, and Johnny J did it. And I just want to say too about his album, A Well-Traveled Road. This is the album that spans 6 decades for Johnny. Fabulous, fabulous material. Trouble is, you can't find it anywhere. I've been looking, and I may myself even, if I can get permission, do a second edition on this very same album. But hey, if you know anything about it, or have any information, you just let us know. And one of the things I want to say before we go too far, and we'll do this at the end, if you want to get a hold of us, it's boomjuice50@gmail.com. So that's our portal for right now, boomjuice50@gmail.com. And we got that set up this week too. Okay. Keeping in line with the artist and performance, I told you we have a segment called Artist Confessions, and it's quite fun to listen to what these people have to say about it. And some artists like to be tongue-in-cheek, and some like to make light of it, but they're all quite serious about it. And here's one we actually filmed I filmed this, I don't know, a year or so ago, year and a half ago. A great group from Duluth, Minnesota, the area called Traction. But anyways, here's one of the artists, and here is Boom Juiced Artist Confessions.
What prompts me to want to perform? The high of being on the stage, the response from the people. I love the sweat, I love the dancing, I love the thrill of putting it all out there and walking away satisfied. That's why I do it.
All right, we're in. So, anyways, what do you think of that? It's kind of fun. We just think it's kind of fun, and it's honest, and that's what we like about the business. And once again, just a part of the business, and we'll have more of that. Some of the things we're going to include in Boom Juice, we wanted to make note is we're going to have artists come and talk to us as a guest, and we're going to have people in the business. We have producers, we have writers, we have managers, we have people who do production, you name it. There's so much to this business, and it's just not all about bands and artists. That's really just the front of the business, as it were, and there's a lot to it, and there's so much to cover and so many people to cover. We're going to take a stab at it, and it leads me into a person in the state of Minnesota who's I've known for many years. He's a great historian, and has come to know a lot of people in the business. He's on the radio quite a bit in southern Minnesota. His name is Mike Chase, and his name is now Minnesota Mike Chase, as we refer to him. And he's a great historian, a great guy. He wants to be part of this. We've talked about this. And next show, we're going to get a shout out from Minnesota Mike Chase. And I think you'll find his stuff really quite interesting. And it's maybe more of a statewide thing with Mike. And we love him for it. And we're looking forward to it. We lost another great one this past week, November 6th. Mimi Parker from Low. She's the other half or third, depending on which album you're listening to. She passed away, age 55, has battled with ovarian cancer since 2020. And what do you say? It's the story of life, and we're all going to miss her. Kind of a sidebar story, Low got their start back in about 1993. And like everybody else, you start at the bottom, you make a demo, you go on. Well, I had mentioned Armand Blackwater a little while ago, my colleague here. And well, it just so happens that his son, Ash Blackwater, was a good friend of Ellen Sparhawk. And they actually, Ash actually produced a demo for Low over at his studio, 5 miles from Nowhere Studio in south of Superior, Wisconsin. I can't tell you exactly where it is because I don't know. I've been there, but I don't know where it is. Anyways, Ash, just a great artist, a great technician. You may know Ash from this area in a group called Lorenzo's Tractor. Eclectic, but good, very good. Anyways, Ash went on to go with Low out east when they did their first album, and was quite instrumental in that transfer. Anyways, Mimi, we love you. Okay, so you've seen this other stool here. Well, This episode, episode 3, obviously, I'm the only host, but it will not be like this. Our first 2 episodes, of course, Armin and I did our back and forth on this and showed segments and whatever. We're going to continue doing that. So, next episode, and we're actually going to start shooting it this week, episode 4. I've brought in what I call the crossover connection for a co-host. A little bit younger, but we'll explain all the details a little bit later. But he's young, he's hip, he's smart, he's an historian, he's a great musician, well known around these parts, and just fun to talk to, fun to be with. And we just want to let you know that episode 4, a new co-host, and we want you to come back, and we think we have a lot to offer. There's so much to talk about and see, and we're going to do that. We're going to show you, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to have some fun, and give us some feedback too. We appreciate it. Hey, love you, cats. We all know how important music is in our life. It's really what we're about. The second thing is, mantra is good is good. And it doesn't matter the venue, the artist, what time it is. You know, you hear good is good in the backyard, the corner bar, a nice venue, a coliseum, a theater. It doesn't really matter. Good is still good. And one of the things we've always appreciated about music, some of it is just over the top good. And that's our good is good. And speaking of that, we're going to go out this episode with my good friend Armin, performing with the Brother John Band. They're out of the cities. They came up to Superior, Wisconsin, played a little place called Bird's Bar, famous, been around a long time. And they're a great rock and roll blues band. And here's the thing, along with music touching us and good is good, as you'll see in this performance, they did a stellar job. The crowd was tuned in. Everybody was in the party mood. Smiles on everybody's faces. And what more really do you want out of live performance and music? It's the feel good of all feel good. And we hope you enjoy it. Talk to you later.
Yeah, Roger doing a little Roadhouse Blues for y'all. My brother Mike on the bass. I'm all Blackwater gonna sing it for y'all. Hey, Blue Jack on the horn. Adam Lane on the drums. Come on, everybody, let's go. Roadhouse, we got some buffalo.